and they didn't know what they was doing. So now they've had that
Yeah.
sex change
Yeah.
and they now want to reverse it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it just makes you think, well, where does it end? Where are we going without going into much details, but where are we going? What's happening with the mental state of us all
Yeah.
as humans? As humans, it's a frightening time. It's a frightening time, and the frightening.
Mm.
I mean, there are more serious things that's happening on a wider scale. There's the looming war that is happening
Yeah.
between Israel and Iran. I mean, there's countless of other things. There's famine in different places. There's cancer, and now we're overshadowing all that by a medical procedure that wasn't even necessary at the time. It's not like it's a life-saving medical
Mm.
procedure, although to them it might be. I don't know. Um, and it just makes me think. That is it going to get worse? Is it going to get better? I don't really know. I don't really
Well, I
know.
mean, there's been this report has just come out, isn't it? Called, I think it's the Cass report,
Right.
whereby this woman who did this report, Miss or Ms. Cass, basically she said that the NHS has been totally wrong to encourage people, young people. I'm not sure what age they're talking about,
Yeah.
but maybe under 15 or 16,
Yeah.
to change their sex, and positively encouraging them to do this, even without the parents knowing. And this report has just criticised that whole approach. And of course, it now seems that a lot of people, public people, politicians, have come out and said, I was wrong. It's unusual for a politician to say that, but a number of pretty much the Labour Party who always said, yes, you can be a woman if you change sex from being a man. They're now saying what J.K. Rowling has
Yeah.
said all the way through,
Yeah.
that you cannot change your biological sex.
I know
And I personally, I think that's common sense. It's a fact.
it is.
And even if we try and subvert the truth
Yeah.
will go on existing, whether we like it or not.
That's the that's the
So
that's the truth.
I
Yeah.
think this report has been very timely,
All right.
because I think it's so wrong. As you say, from what we read about it, some youngsters who have had surgery to change gender, have gone on to regret it. And
Yeah.
in many cases, they can't really reverse what they've done.
No. No.
So yeah, it's a crazy situation,
It
and
is.
it's funny on a tiny number of people for whom it's very sad if they have these feelings, but it seems to have dominated the whole of politics, the whole of society, and people have been cancelled if they dare say, a woman can't be this, a man can't be that.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
So, as I say, I think this report, the Cass report,
Yeah.
has come out at a very timely moment.
Wow. Because all right. So there's something I noticed. I think it must have been in October last year, and I remember it because um, Instagram sent me a survey. So they sent me a survey, and in the survey, they wanted me to choose my pronoun.
Yeah, well, that's coming out more and more, isn't it? I've
Yeah,
had things which say your preferred pronouns.
yeah, and I was
So I
reading
think
it.
I said it and something else. But it feels like it's an insult to be asked, what are your preferred pronouns, isn't it,
I,
really?
I know,
Crazy.
I know. So I sat there and I was reading it, and I'm thinking, what is Instagram? What is Instagram trying to do actually?
Yeah, yeah,
What is the end game with that? Are they then going to say, yeah, all right, so if you're getting verified, or maybe your account has been hacked and you're trying to then get your account back, well, it's still going to say something on your passport, isn't it? It's still going to
yeah,
say
yeah.
male or female. It's not going to say they, him, there.
Mm,
So
mm.
and I'm thinking, what is their end game? So if I say I'm they, or if I say I identify as a camel, would they then be expecting a
Would they get the hump? That was good, wasn't it? Yeah, but you're right. But I think the truth is here, that these big companies, and I think Facebook owns Instagram. I'm sure that's
Yeah,
right,
yeah, yeah,
but they're terrified. They're terrified of falling foul of this what they
yeah,
call the trans lobby.
yeah,
So because they feel well, it could affect our business and so on and so forth. And that's what I say. It's incredible that such a very small number of humans, and I say that in sympathy with people who go through the trauma of
yeah,
thinking they're in the wrong body. Maybe for kids, they will grow out of it, who knows? But it's a genuine problem for people, but a relatively small number. And it's incredible how that has infected the fear has infected companies and individuals that they could be cancelled if they say the wrong thing. So I
yeah,
suppose Instagram would not want to be accused of misgendering somebody accidentally. So they say, what are your pronouns? Which is why you were asked, I guess.
yeah. I know. Right. So there was something that I've been meaning to do on this show, just to show the world that we are in solidarity with what's happening around the world. So it's a terrible thing what's happened in Australia, isn't it, Trevor?
Wow. Yeah.
Don't know if you've read the
Yeah.
news. Yeah.
Well, there were two incidents, weren't there?
No, this is the thing, isn't it?
There's a
So
church one,
yeah, and there's
the
a
second one.
was it the shopping mall one was the first one, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So should we do a minute silent for the victims of
Yes, by all means.
right, okay, so
Yeah.
right, so set a timer for 1 minute.
Okay.
Right, so that's our 1 minute silent up, Trevor.
Yeah. I
Yeah, I
think
mean,
it does raise that particular case. I mean, reading about the victims, that the little baby, who I think is still alive, it's
yeah,
stabilized, but critically ill, and his mum, who was an osteopath.
yeah.
And as she was being attacked, she threw her baby to a bystander, who managed really to save the little baby's life, but the mother was
Oh,
killed.
oh,
And then another girl, another woman, 25, I think the daughter of quite a famous wealthy person in Australia, she was mercilessly stabbed to death, and she
oh,
was out buying some of her marriage stuff. She was due to get married soon. The stories are appalling to read and desperately
no.
sad. But I think the issue that is raised,
Right,
because the guy, as they said, he has mental health issues, he was a schizophrenic.
yeah,
The issues that's raised is that in most countries nowadays, as in ours, the vast majority of mental hospitals were closed down going back 15, 20 years, maybe
yeah,
a bit more. And of course, in many respects, that's progressive, and you want people to be able to play their part and be in society, often with their carers. That's great.
yeah,
But if it also means that people are out on the streets who are potentially dangerous, particularly if they don't take their medication,
yeah,
then there's a debate to be had about the wisdom of perhaps not having greater controls on how this works.
yeah,
I mean, there was another case recently. I think it was in this country where, oh no, it was in America actually. It was in New York, when I was there recently, um, a, a man, he was mentally ill by all accounts. He pushed a man in his 50s onto the train tracks on the
Oh
subway
no.
just as the train was coming. So the driver had no chance to stop.
Oh
And the same issue was raised then, that this man, he was a paranoid schizophrenic. He should never have been allowed to be
yeah.
out of a secure hospital.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is, these people, sad to say, and it's rare, but they are among society,
Yeah.
and maybe something needs to be done to address the risk.
Yeah, I think
Very
something.
sad. Very
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah, it's very sad, isn't it? I think there was one that happened over here as well, where there was two young lads that were involved. They were victims, and another guy and another older guy. I think it was a van driver, and he was stabbed as well. I think there was three people that were in.
Yeah,
Yeah, do you remember that?
yeah.
Yeah.
That was in Nottingham, wasn't it? In
Or was it?
Nottingham.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that there needs to be a real debate on that, and because you know, are you safe going out? Are you fear for your family
Yeah.
members, don't you? So
Well, these things are rare, glad to
yeah,
say, but it does happen. And
yeah,
the problem with that Nottingham one, if there is a problem, which I think there is that the judge simply sentenced him, if that's the word, sentenced, to a mental hospital
yeah,
without any penal sentence. In other words, he was given no prison sentence. So
yeah,
what it really means is, once the psychiatrists consider him to be safe to be released,
yeah,
he will be released.
yeah,
And I know the families of those three people have raised this, and I think they are taking action to
yeah,
try and get that judge's sentence reviewed.
yeah,
And yeah, it was an interesting case, a similar thing, really, with
yeah,
George Harrison, one of the Beatles. You remember him? He
yeah,
died. He died about well, anyway, he was about 20 years ago,
right,
and he had lung cancer. But a few weeks, few months, couple of months before he died,
right.
an intruder broke into his home
No,
in Ascot, a huge, great house he had,
yeah,
and attacked him. George was in bed, and this man was attacking him. And George's wife, obviously, she was panic stricken, and eventually she got hold of a lamp and she managed to hit the attacker with this lamp. But I think the injuries to George Harrison were much worse at the time than they ever disclosed.
wow,
And it's never been entirely clear whether he died prematurely, even for the lung cancer,
yeah,
because of this attack. But again, the man, I don't remember the full details, but what I do remember is he also was sentenced to not a prison sentence, but a period in a mental hospital, but no specified period,
yeah,
so that when he was deemed safe to be back out on the streets, he was a schizophrenic,
yeah,
they could release him. And he was released in about 3 or 4 months, as I remember, 3 or 4 months after doing that.
yeah,
And it may just have been a case he hadn't taken his medication, but I don't know if they release people with this dreadful illness of schizophrenia, how can they be sure that they will always take the medication?
yeah,
Because without that, the tendency I gather is that they become very paranoid. They think people are after them, and so they attack. And presumably not in any sort of control of what they're doing.
yeah.
But it's a very difficult debate to be had.
It is, isn't it?
But
Yeah.
yeah,
It's one debate that really needs to be had, isn't it? They
it
really,
is.
yeah, because it's well, the thing is,